8:09, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. How is it 8:09? Was I that late with all my things in the last hour? Didn't feel like I was all that late, but apparently I was. I apologize. Hey, Joan.
Yep.
Going to say hello to a very special group of people.
Okay.
The people watching on YouTube. So they apparently have been daring me to say hello all morning long. I don't really understand why. I say hello to you people all the time. I love you people on YouTube.
They're needy.
Are they needy? You know what? Look, people, I'm the needy one in this relationship. By the way, also, Joan, real quick, and then I'm gonna move on.
Yeah.
People are concerned for you, actually.
For me.
Yeah, you seem to have a strange man lurking behind you.
I do.
Sam is training to be a newscaster and news anchor. And as Joan is doing her news, I actually noticed this the other day, Joan, is Sam is like lurking behind you, just like standing there, sitting there, watching you do your news.
Yeah.
Which is really weird if you think about it. Does that make you feel like a little, creepy-ish, like he's watching you?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
It's cool.
Is it cool?
I see he's gotten out of the picture. Come back into the picture. Let me see how that looks. I can't see him.
Well, in any event, he's back. But Joan is safe. It's okay. That is Sam.
Yes, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really good thing. Also, I will mention, and we'll talk a little bit more about this at 8:35. 4 years ago today, Phil Valentine passed away.
Oh, wow. It's 4 years?
4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit about that at 8:35. But I'm telling you, not a day goes by that I don't think about Phil and, how much I loved him and how much he meant to not only me as a friend and as an employee here, because I was his boss for, many years, but also what he meant to the people of Tennessee. And so we'll talk a little bit about that coming up at 8:35 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I've been playing some audio. I grabbed a whole bunch of audio this morning from J.D. Vance. And I think that there is an obvious distinction between J.D. Vance, who is, a lot of people are saying, and I'm gonna say it too, I think that he is the heir apparent to Donald Trump. And you have, of course, Gavin Newsom, who is also making a lot of waves, mimicking and mocking Donald Trump on Twitter. So I think, I don't know, Joan, do you think that we are ramping up for a J.D. Vance, Gavin Newsom 2028? Do you think it's going to be those two?
I think that there's a good chance, yeah. I just think it's a foregone conclusion that it'll be JD on the GOP side. Mm-hmm. There's still so much time that I think the left needs to shake out who's going to be a good candidate and who's just going to be there.
Right. And you are right. And one of the things as you look at J.D. Vance and as you look at the other Republicans, I think a lot of people don't trust Marco Rubio. Remember way back when, way back when, he was part of, was it the Gang of Eight? I think it was the Gang of Eight.
Yeah.
Where, they were essentially calling for, amnesty. You had all this push for, concessions for illegal immigrants, and he was part of that whole thing. And I think that people, despite how good he has been as a Secretary of State, there's a lot of people that just don't trust him. And I understand that. When you're a politician and you've been doing it for a long time, you got to vote and you got to do things. And so I think there are people that don't trust him. I like Marco Rubio. I do believe, though, that even though Rubio has a better resume, I think that J.D. Vance is a better communicator. And these days, and by the way, J.D. Vance, from a policy standpoint, is also top-notch. But I think that's why he has been most certainly trotted out over the past, several days, and really since the Trump administration began, where J.D. Vance has been pushed out front because he is the heir apparent. And he was on with Laura Ingraham last night in a great interview. And again, remember what I said. They're bringing J.D. Vance out. He is doing a lot of interviews. You're not seeing, Donald Trump is doing a lot of interviews too, obviously. It's what the man does. But I think that J.D. Vance, would you say that J.D. Vance has been I'm trying to think. because J.D. Vance, as a vice president, he has been one that has been in the forefront, I think, certainly more than Mike Pence. Would you agree with that, Joan?
Sorry, I'm...
You're training. All right.
Yeah.
Real quick. Do you think that J.D. Vance is more in the forefront than Mike Pence was during Trump's first administration as a vice president? I'm gonna tell you, Joan agrees with me. Absolutely. So,
I'm sorry. I totally agree with you, Dan.
thank you, Joan. All right, let's move on. This is J.D. Vance, and he was on Fox News with Laura Ingraham.
Actually, the most interesting thing, Laura, was after the cameras left, Pete and Steve and I stayed and, had lunch with these troops and just learned a lot about what they're seeing, about how much the city has changed in just the past 9 days. So crazy statistic. Violent crime has dropped in D.C. 35% in 9 days. Robberies in D.C. have dropped 55% in 9 days. And it highlights the fact that this living with lawlessness and disorder, that's fundamentally a question of political will. If you've got the political will to enforce the law, you can make even cities like D.C. safe again. And that's what we're demonstrating. And I hope that the American people take an important lesson from this, because obviously D.C. is a federal city, New York, L.A., these places are not. I hope the American people just recognize that you don't have to live with lawlessness. You don't have to live with third world murder rates. If you just take control of these cities, you can make them safe places to live again.
All right, so that is J.D. Vance, and he clearly, again, pushed out into the forefront. One of my favorite J.D. Vance moments from last night was when he was asked to give some advice to the Democrats to try to get them, back into some semblance of normalcy. And he had some good advice for the Democrats. I've got that coming up next. It is 8:16. Time to check the roads on WTN. All right, as far as your weather goes, it looks like we've got a high of 87, feeling like 93, mostly sunny, with intermittent cloud coverage throughout the day. And appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. All right, so what advice? It really is a simple question, though, isn't it? What advice would you give? What advice would J.D. Vance give to the Democrats? Because as was reported yesterday, and I've been talking about this today, they are hemorrhaging support.
To the dance question.
I mean, look, the autopsy for the Democrats, some free political advice from the President of the United States is stop sounding like crazy people.
There you go.
That really is all it is. I mean, this idea that Gavin Newsom is somehow going to mimic Donald Trump's style, I think that ignores the fundamental genius of President Trump's political success, which is that he's authentic. He just is who he is. You've got to be yourself. You've actually got to talk to people honestly about the issues. I don't think it's that complicated. Don't be a crazy person. Be authentic. If the Democrats did that, they'd do a hell of a lot better. But the thing is, the Democrats really can't help themselves. If you look at the transgender issue, they're still talking about letting men playing women's sports. If you look at the crime issue, they're calling Donald Trump a fascist for taking action that in 9 days has dropped armed robberies by 55%. So part of sounding less crazy is being less crazy. And if the Democrats were less crazy, I think we'd all get along a whole lot better.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. Now, little secret, though. I mean, let's keep that advice just between us. But you know what the crazy thing is? This is crazy. Speaking of crazy and the Democrats, do you know what the insanity is with the Democrats? Is that they know the problem. They know why people are fleeing their party. They refuse to change. And that's all well and good. Because I don't believe that all Democrats, just hear me out before you start yelling at me. I don't believe that all Democrats are as crazy as the crazy Democrats. However, if they are standing by and not calling out the crazy Democrats, well, then they're guilty by association. There you go. But see, I don't think that they have it in them. And I think that's part of their problem. Last audio bite from J.D. Vance for today, as he is out there. By the way, do you know what they're saying about J.D. Vance? Do you know what the left's really nasty attack point is on J.D. Vance? He's ugly. Did you know that? There are leftists out there that are calling J.D. Vance ugly. Now, I'm a dude. I don't know. if he's ugly or not, but
He's got beautiful eyes.
Okay.
He's got really beautiful eyes.
He's got beautiful eyes. Sure. Okay. Thank you, Joan. Okay. So from
That's one country heard from, right?
from a technical standpoint, you know what, ladies? You tell me.
Yeah, you should ask.
Super texters and YouTubers. Is J.D. Vance ugly? I don't think he's ugly. I mean, I'm a dude, but I mean, you know, I've certainly seen a lot worse. But yeah, they're saying he's ugly. And they're also saying his beard is weird. I heard somebody actually call him Weird Beard on occasion. And I just, whatever. I mean, if that is going to be the baseline of their attacks, again, bring it on. And by the way, J.D. Vance has a gorgeous, beautiful wife. So, I mean, clearly, and he's doing a lot of things right. So whatever, Democrats, if this is what you want to do, knock yourselves out. I saved, by the way, my favorite audio bite of J.D. Vance for last, where they spoke about, because J.D. Vance was there, and he was asked about what was going on after the Donald Trump meeting with Vladimir Zelensky. Listen to this.
It was like 1 a.m. Moscow time, and they had no anticipation. So we're actually in the east wing of the White House, and the president says, you know, we've had a pretty good meeting. I'm going to go call Vladimir Putin and see what he says about it. And everybody's like, oh, you're going to call him next week? And he's like, no, what time is it in Moscow? Let's call him right now.
Yep.
And I think one of the things I've realized about President Trump's leadership is he cuts through the BS of some of these diplomatic protocols and just says, I'm going to get things done. If I want to talk to somebody, I'm going to talk to somebody. You had a lot of the Europeans who were saying, no, there needs to be proper, vetting, and the teams have to prepare the phone call and blah, 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 blah. And the president was like, no. I want to talk to the guy. I'm going to talk to the guy. And I think that kind of no holds barred, no BS diplomacy is part of the reason why we've made the progress we have. And we've made a lot of progress, Laura. Look, who knows what's going to happen? The president tells me this all the time. You can never say with certainty what the outcome in this situation is going to be. But we now have the Russians talking to the Ukrainians. They're talking details about what would be necessary on each side to stop the fighting and stop the killing. We've made more progress in 3 months than the country had made in 3 years in stopping this conflict. And I think it's because sometimes you just need a president who will pick up the phone and call somebody.
There you go, J.D. Vance. And I think he's right. And I think that he is clearly, obviously, learning from the best. So I do believe that he is the heir apparent right now for the Republican Party. We'll have to see ultimately what happens with the Democrats. We got a long way to go. By the way, the latest on Russia, and I don't know if you have anything, Joan. I know that people are saying, I'm reading, that there was, I don't know if it's still going on, but a massive strike, Russia against Ukraine, the biggest, they say, in weeks or months. Ukraine is saying it needs a credible security guarantee. Donald Trump is working on that with European leaders. They continue, of course, to buy our weapons through NATO and give them to Ukraine. Russia just doesn't seem to be all that interested. I mean, that's what I'm seeing, is that Russia doesn't seem all that interested in meeting with Vladimir Zelensky.
And that strike last night, it was 600 drones and ballistic missiles.
Good Lord.
And it was the western portion of Ukraine that they're hitting, which is a little different tactic. But in the process of doing so, they hit an American manufacturing company. And Ukraine, of course, is saying, hey, America, pay attention to this. They targeted you. But that's not clear if that's true.
Was there any Americans killed?
So far, they are saying that there are casualties. They're not saying if there was anyone who was killed. So, I'm following that. I've been doing the story, following it, but it appears that this could be something that upends the whole peace process.
Well, yeah, because, and I don't know, and folks don't know if they deliberately targeted. But if those are drones, I mean, those drones are really accurate. Mm-hmm. And today's rockets, unless you're, firing them from Gaza and your Hamas, those rockets are actually pretty darn accurate. They are. So if Russia hit an American company in Ukraine and they did it on purpose, I don't know. Sounds like an act of war to me. I mean, I don't want to be accused of hyperbole, but I mean, if they're targeting now our interests and not Ukraine's interests, but our interests in Ukraine, then yeah, Joan, you're right. That could be somewhat of a deal changer.
It certainly it could change the scope. of this whole peace process that President Trump has put together.
Well, and the question is, will Vladimir Putin come out and say, my bad?
Yeah. And will anyone believe him?
Why did your business jump in front of our rockets? I could just see. All right, it's 8:24. Joan, what's coming up? 8:38, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Dan.
Do you believe that J.D. Vance is ugly?
I think he's a good-looking piece of man.
That's a good-looking piece of man, isn't he?
No, I've seen the memes. He's probably pretty good. Have you seen him without the beard?
No.
Yeah.
Is he ugly without the beard?
It changes things.
But do you know what people say, Joan? You can chime in on this.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say who said this, Amy, but Amy says that, oh, shoot, I just said it. Well, whatever. Amy says that beards are like push-up bras for men.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard that?
Oh.
Have you ever heard that, Joan?
I have not.
Yeah, because, I mean, Joan, I don't know.
Okay.
I've had my beard for years.
Yeah.
And I am one ugly individual without it. And
Stop
the beard doesn't do much help for me either. So, you'll notice I didn't have the courage to say, hey, am I ugly? No, it's J.D. Vance. And by the way, everybody said J.D. Vance. All the ladies out there said that the push-up bra for men is working, and J.D. Vance is a good-looking individual.
Stud
muffin he is.
He has a fat face.
He does have a fat face. I don't know.
And his body doesn't match his fat face.
Chris?
Is that too
No,
forward?
I don't have.
I would say maybe. I mean, he's got a bit of a chubby face, but I mean,
I'm not here to do any body shaming.
I've got to
Yeah.
listen. I'll shame.
yeah?
I'll shame my own
Right?
body. Good Lord. Anyway, moving right along.
Please.
So I don't think that I got one person here that said that J.D. Vance was ugly. All the ladies chiming in. Matter of fact, one of the sales folks, I'm not going to say who it is because it was a private text, but she said that there's nothing ugly about that man.
Ladies love cool JD.
You know what? It's sometimes you see a person's personality beyond their looks, right?
Yeah.
And so what we've seen of JD is that he is he's bold. And I think women like that. Like they like a bold man who espouses the things that they agree with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen. That's why I got all the ladies. I'm bold.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Moving right along from there.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone awkwardly chuckles. It's cool. All right. So you live in Murfreesboro.
Yes, sir.
And you were telling me off the air, because we had a big conversation about this on the air, about the panhandlers in the borough.
Yes.
And you actually moved to Murfreesboro because they had that law.
That was a selling point for me and the
Wow.
wife.
Oh, how about that?
Because when we lived in Pittsburgh, so when we came from Pittsburgh to Mount Juliet for like 9 months before we bought the house in Murfreesboro. And in Pittsburgh, in the downtown area where we lived, the panhandling was out of control. Like you couldn't walk a block without seeing another panhandler. And when you're walking around with young kids, that becomes infuriating because these people aren't looking for help. These people are drug addicts.
And they yell at you.
Yeah, and they're insane. And you don't know what's going to happen as soon as you walk by them. So when there's a no panhandling law on the books in Murfreesboro, I was like, that's awesome. That makes sense. But they've stopped enforcing it. Or maybe they never did. But it does feel like after COVID, the homeless panhandling in Murfreesboro has gotten completely out of control. The homeless in Murfreesboro has gotten out of control. And I heard the caller earlier, they're busting them down from Nashville. Fact check, true.
We talked about that.
Yeah. But so there was a morning, it was like 8:30. Virginia had just dropped one kid off at school and had a couple other kids. So she went to Old Fort Park, which is right there. It's a big playground in Murfreesboro. And she said it like come 9 a.m., just a flood of homeless people start walking out of the woods.
Oh.
She's like, it was like The Walking Dead. And you're seeing it get worse and worse in Murfreesboro, that if you don't get a handle on it soon, you're never going to get a handle on it. So I'm very excited that they're doing something about it.
Yeah, and they need to be, frankly, more aggressive. And it's interesting you talk about, the homeless people walking out of the woods, because where I live, I go through Hermitage to get to my house in Mount Juliet, where we don't allow homelessness or panhandling. I'm just kidding. But I never see anybody. Actually, no, I'm wrong on that. I do see panhandlers on the north side of town. No, the south side of town over by Providence. That's where they are.
We saw a panhandler yesterday as we were driving down to Medical Center Parkway. or 2 days ago, and my wife said, "Where are the police to shoo this guy along?
Yeah.
Who looks like an absolute lunatic."
Yep. That's exactly right. Well, in Hermitage, Nashville, I'm driving home, and when they would have all of those homeless places, what do you call it? Where you got a bunch of homeless people in there.
Yeah.
And they would walk out of the woods. And it was creepy. It was like a movie. And they come out of the woods, and then they'd go to like 7-Eleven or something. They'd panhandle, then go to 7-Eleven, buy their alcohol for the day, and go back into the woods.
Yeah.
And they finally broke that up, Joan.
I was actually walking at that park at the Old Stone Fort?
Old Fort Park.
Old Fort. There's great walking trails in that park. And that's funny that you said that. I didn't realize that what I was seeing was homeless people until you just said that, Chris.
Yeah.
Because they hang out at the shores of the water there.
Yep. All of those trails and all of those woods are littered with homeless.
Yes. I thought it was very odd, and now it makes sense.
Yeah.
So now I'm never going there again.
No, and I don't blame you. And I believe, wasn't there some woman got assaulted down there at one point?
There was the Greenway murder. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but
9292 says Columbia's begging problem is getting very fierce. Lena says, and I know that Lena lives in Mount Juliet like I do, you should have stayed in Mount Juliet, Chris. There's no panhandling. Unless you live on the south side.
The problem was I got priced out of Mount Juliet in about 6 months after moving here.
Oh, did you?
Oh, my gosh. The everything was going up so fast.
When did you move to Tennessee?
It was 2017.
Okay.
So everything was going up so fast so that we were like, okay, which is the next city to blow? And we landed on Murfreesboro. Yeah.
Do you regret living in Murfreesboro?
I love Murfreesboro.
You got a great neighborhood.
I'll never leave. We are so blessed, and we have the best friends that we could have down there. We got a great community, an awesome church.
Yeah.
But there are some things that, you got to fix, or it's going to get worse.
But you know what the problem is? Like, there's never going to be a utopia. There's never going to be some place where, everything is perfect, because that's just not the way that it works. I mean, there's always going to be something that you have to live with. In Mount Juliet, there is I think there's some panhandling up by the mall. I rarely go up that way anymore, but the traffic is terrible.
But I don't need it to be perfect. I just don't want them to have free range. Make it a little bit uncomfortable. So when the panhandler sees the police cruiser coming, he goes, "All right, time for me to take a walk." That would suffice.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
you need to go out and live in the rural area.
I know.
It's so like our biggest problem right now is that there's cows across the street and they bring horse flies. That's it.
Wow.
There's no panhandlers.
Yep. Virginia wants me to get land and chickens.
Yeah, chickens.
That's what she says.
Mm-hmm.
We need chickens.
Can you have chickens there in Murfreesboro?
I mean, you can do anything if you don't tell anybody.
There's a Chick-fil-A probably there, right?
Yeah.
What? It's been 4 years since Phil Valentine passed away.
I heard you talking about that when I was driving in, and I heard you say, not a day goes by I don't think about him. And for me, I never knew him personally, but as a listener, I still think about him all the time. You're talking about the homeless in Murfreesboro, and I'm thinking to myself, Phil used to always say that they're not there on the street corners because they're down on their luck. Those are drug addicts.
Yep.
The people that are down on their luck are finding those programs and finding those resources and lifting themselves up. And that stuck with me. And there's so many things that Phil said that stuck with me. And I didn't even know him personally like you did.
Yeah, I worked with him for a long time. He did have an incredible impact on me. And one of the things, and there's so many things to say about Phil, but one of the things that I'll always say is that for a talk show host who is so talented and for a guy that had so much success, dude had like no ego. Like he was just the nicest of guys. When you come into a new situation like I did many, many years ago now, but there's sometimes you run the risk of, people big timing you and all that kind of stuff. Phil Valentine was the first guy to reach out to me and say, hey, and he and I mean, we talked on the phone all the time, and it was just, he was so incredibly supportive, especially at times when I wasn't feeling as secure and confident as I do now. Because when I got to, a lot of people hated me. And Phil was always just a comforting friend. And, I was on noon to 3, so he was on after me. And we would talk, and he was always upbeat. He sounded great, and he really did help me a lot, and so did, of course, JB as well. And so I'm just his book, A Conservative's Handbook. I have it in a very special place in my studio, and I keep it right there, and it's right next to. It's an autographed book, by the way, and it's right there next to the other things that I hold dear from a broadcasting standpoint, and pictures and so forth. And it's right there because number one, I read it all the time, and I will just flip through it from time to time. I've read it all now a couple of different times, but it's just a reminder, number one, of how amazing and generous Phil Valentine was, but also how absolutely brilliant he was as well, and how much of a good friend he was. And as I said, I think about him all the time. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I've got a voicemail message that I will listen to on occasion just to hear his voice. And, of course, we continue to play his voice on the Legal ID. I think most hours. I don't know what they're doing now, but I know it still plays.
I mean, it's gotta be cool though, because when you open up that book, you read it in his voice. You hear his voice talking to you, and
absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. I miss him terribly. I miss him every single day. But his views on politics and life, they're in my heart and they're in my head. He was a tremendous influence. Did you ever meet Phil, Joan?
I did not.
Yeah, okay.
I was in D.C. at the time, and when I heard that news, I thought, wow, this is a bombshell. This is, that's big that Phil Valentine passed away. And I knew that the effect that would have on the Nashville area. Of course, it was an industry-wide bombshell that really, it shook everybody industry-wide. Yeah,
and I mean, do you know that I've never met one person, even on the left, that has a bad thing to say about Phil? I don't. Yeah. Because I deal with, some malcontents, as we all do. All that hate mail that I've gotten, not one person has said nasty things about Phil, a nasty thing about Phil Valentine. So,
well, he got me hooked on WTN. That's for dang sure.
Yeah. The first time I was driving into Nashville, I've told this story before. The first time that I drove into Nashville, I heard Phil Valentine, and I had not heard Phil yet. I'd, of course, checked out the station in Denver, but I had never landed on Phil's show. So I'm listening. Oh, this is so funny. And I don't want to get misty-eyed, but I remember driving in, and I remember thinking, oh, this guy's really good. What have I gotten myself into? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not worthy. I had an I'm not worthy moment when it came to hearing Phil for the first time. And, but again, he made me feel so welcome.
Yeah, and you get in the car and you feel like you knew him. And it was, I remember I used to have to pick up Kennedy at 3 o'clock when she was going to the school that we had her going to before we were doing homeschooling. Mm-hmm. And I used to time it so that way I would be in the pickup line as 3:06 hit, so I would have a couple minutes to listen to his opening monologue before the kids got in the car.
Yep.
And I would do that every day.
Yep.
And then I remember my wife would get in and be like, you can't be listening to conservative radio with the kids in the car.
Oh.
And it's like flash forward a few years, like, sorry, your worst nightmares come true.
That is so funny. But I'm sure she's okay with it now.
She loves it. She loves it.
Very good. All right, what do you got coming up?
Well, we're going to talk about that J.D. Vance interview. That was just fantastic.
It was.
We're going to talk about the ridiculousness that's going on with Gavin Newsom. And there are some rumors flying around that the social media campaign that we're seeing is a bit bought and paid for. Mm-hmm. People are saying it's Chinese bots that Gavin Newsom is using to flood the White House TikTok account, and that the ratio on X isn't as authentic as it may seem.
Isn't that the problem, though, with Gavin Newsom? He's not authentic.
No, and that's the problem.
That's the problem.
With Democrats in general. Nothing is organic. Nothing is unique. Even his whole thing, you're making fun of Trump, but you're not even going to be up against him. Why are we going after Trump?
We went after J.D. Vance the other day, and I think that is probably going to increase. But I think he's going after Trump. You know what? We don't have time to do this now. Let's do this when we record the podcast.
Let's do it for the podcast.
All right, very good. It is...
we're going to be dropping Mostly Peaceful at 9 a.m. on Saturdays as opposed to 6 a.m., just an FYI.
Oh, all right, very good.
Letting people sleep in.
Oh, okay, very good. I didn't know.
We have to tickle the algo.
Oh, it's the old tickle the algo
Thing.
action.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Joan, what is coming up?